Autoweb. Welcome to the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, the #1 resource for automotive sales professionals, managers, and owners to learn how to make money, accumulate wealth, and to all out ball out in the auto industry. And now your hosts, Sean V. Bradley and L.A. Williams.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Autoweb.
Hey everybody, this is Sean V. Bradley, president of Dealer Synergy and the creator of the Millionaire Car Salesman Group. And I've got a super special guest today. Stephanie Platt, she's the internet sales manager at Thompson, Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, and the digital manager at Waynesboro, Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. And she's also a moderator of the Millionaire Car Salesman Group on Facebook. And she's got her own club. Man, damn, I'm like out of breath already. She's got her own club on Clubhouse that was on Fridays in the Millionaire Car Salesman Club, but now it's on Mondays. We'll get to that. But Stephanie, what's up? How you doing, girl?
Doing great. How are you doing, Sean?
Man, I am fabulous right now. It is it's the summer, and we're crushing it. The industry right now, if you're not making money, you need to rethink your life and your career right now, because there's two types of dealers, okay, and the ones that are making money and the ones that are not. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is the most incredible I've ever seen it in the last 22 years I've been in the business. But what say you? Are you guys making money over there?
Oh, we're making so much. It's wild. It's crazy. We're breaking records, like huge records, like decades old records. Okay,
let's talk about that. Let's start that out. So, you represent two stores. Okay, one store you're the internet sales manager, one you're the digital manager in. And let's start with the records. Which store or both of them broke records, and which ones are they specifically?
The one that I'm the internet sales manager of, the Thompson store, we broke our gross record.
Oh wow. Okay, so and how many years was that record held?
Since before 2007.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's exciting. That's exciting. That's pretty impressive. Okay. So the gross record. And what would you say, what is your opinion of the current state of the industry right now? Just give us your definition or your explanation of the craziness that we're in.
It's wild right now. We used to really focus on being a low price leader and a volume dealer, and we don't have to do that right now. Because of the inventory. This inventory crisis has been a blessing in disguise for us. We have some inventory, we can retain gross. Our copy per vehicle sold is insane. I've never seen numbers like this. So it's wild, it's great. I don't know how it's gonna be next year, but ride the wave while you can.
Yeah, you know what? I would agree. The industry has notoriously been fragmented, where certain people are gross, certain people are volume. You've got new car dealers, you've got used car dealers, you've got hybrid dealers, you've got special finance dealers. But right now, the inventory situation leveled off the playing field. It didn't make it all equal, but it leveled it off, and it gave us, the automotive professionals, the opportunity to truly, for the first time on a mass level, create gross. And I like what you just said, but it also saddens me the fact that you don't know what it's going to be like next year, because, I agree. I think that stupid dealers are going to do stupid things, and they're going to start, whoring out their products, and they're going to start dropping down the price, when the inventory levels out. But it's a shame, because I don't think that you have to. I think that dealers see that price is only relevant with the absence of value, whether it's desperation, or it's smart, or it's necessity, or it's supply and demand. But there's a reason why we're making gross right now. And so if we choose to give up that privilege of making gross, that's on the dealers. What's your thoughts?
I agree. I want to take this carefully, though, in my answer, because I firmly, from the bottom of my heart, believe that we should be making relationships with customers, and that we should value those relationships with customers, because generational sales with those customers would mean more to a store than constantly getting new customers. To expand on that, what I mean is, if I sell you a car in your 30s, you can come back and get serviced. And 3 to 5 years, when you're ready for a new car and you like us that much, you'll come back. And then when your kids get older, they might come to us. The loyalty aspect of customers is something that we as an industry have gone away from when we started pushing lower prices and higher volume and sell. And we've had to take a step back from that with the inventory crisis and look at how we're handling the customers and how we're getting them in the door, how happy they are when they leave. And it also helps that the OEMs are really pushing that message on us right now as well.
But
let's be real. Unfortunately, when you have dealers that are used to doing something a certain way, times of stress will take them back to what they're used to doing. So let's say the growth starts drying up a little bit, the inventory starts flowing again. What are the dealers going to do? They're going to go back to what they know. Unless they're young and innovative. I don't necessarily mean young, and I didn't mean it like that, but it does seem to be a correlation between some of the older car guys wanting to maintain what they're used to, their comfort level, and some of the more progressive younger ones trying to branch out of that.
Here's the thing that escapes me though. I don't get it. I drive highline cars and exotic cars, as well as like regular cars, so to speak. And you can't expect to go to Ferrari and get a triple net deal or an invoice deal. You know what I mean? Because there, first of all, limited production, so inventory. Second is the experience that you get, not only driving a Ferrari and the ownership of Ferrari, but also from the purchasing of a beautiful facility and all that goes with it. But they build value into that. So people are okay with paying more than invoice or invoice plus a nickel or whatever stupid little thing that there is. So I don't understand if there's certain manufacturers that will never discount price or rarely discount price, even before COVID, during COVID, after COVID. My point being is that I don't believe that that regular franchises should have ever, adopted that strategy. And what's a shame is that we deprogrammed ourselves during COVID with that. We deprogrammed ourselves from that stupid mentality. But to your point, and I don't disagree, I also agree that it's most likely going to revert, back to giving cars away and playing just the volume game. But it's a shame because we see what a beautiful life we could have, when there's ridiculous bonuses that are being made. There's so much revenue. I mean, everybody is making money right now. It just, knowing it's going to happen is so bad. It's like, you ever know, like you see a car accident in front of you, you're like, no, stop. And it's slow motion, but then the car accident still happens. I feel that's what's happening right now. I see the car accident of dealers doing the stupid things of just giving cars away and reverting back to the pre inventory shortage crisis. But why do you think that dealers are going to do that? I think that you said, that's what they know, but I think it's too easy.
I think there's more to it. If you're going to compare a highline store with a volume franchise like Toyota or Chrysler, you're not comparing apples and apples, because that highline store, that product itself, it's catering to a certain lifestyle, right? You buy that car because it makes you feel cool and it's fast and it says something to somebody about who you are or who you want to project yourself as. That Toyota or that Challenger or whatever other vehicle, that Mazda, I don't know, whatever brand, I'm not picking up brands here, but whatever brand, that's a car that gets you from point A to point B. You may not be able to afford that awesome car that would make you stand out, right? So you're not really dealing with the same set of business practices to begin with because of that. I mean, I think about Apple and the way that they marketed their iPhones. The way they pulled that into the market was because they made people feel cool for having it. Check out my phone, be one of the in crowd, join our cool kids club, whatever, but it was essentially what they did. Not everyone's really happy to drive a Renegade. They don't feel like they're in the cool kids club. That's why I think it's a little different. So with your highline stores, yes, you can maintain that. Let me cater to the customer. This is such an experience for you versus a Toyota or a Mazda or whatever other store that's just like, okay, here's your car. Thank you so much. On to the next one. And on top of that, you have the pressure from the OEMs. You have their incentive programs that really say push, 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 sell, 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 get as many vehicles out as you can. There's certain OEMs right now that are saying your turn rate needs to be in the 90s. So sell almost all of your inventory and pray to God you get more before you run out of money. But the point is, you get paid from the factory to sell that 90%. I don't know if the highline stores are getting that same push from their OEMs. I don't know. I'm not in a highline store.
Okay. So I totally disagree.
Okay.
I see your logic, and I definitely could see where you're coming from. But here's the problem, though. In my opinion, it has to do with, and I do agree with the OEM, their incentives are kind of ass backwards sometimes, and they force the stupidity. Just like the lead source providers say, click here for a price. What the hell do you expect when somebody clicks there for a price? They're looking for a price because of the call to action. So I definitely agree with that part. But as far as what you said, I so disagree about that. It's not a Ferrari. It's a Renegade, because I'm telling you, I'm from the projects. I'm as hood as it gets. And when I was a kid, I was poor as shit, but I had a spanking pack. I had a pair of Jordans that were in pristine condition. When I had my first car, I'll never forget, I had a 1986 Ford Escort wagon, manual transmission. Ridiculously ghetto, right? But I had a pair of 12s in the back, and my stereo was more expensive than the car. To me, right, I could never even think or fathom of a Ferrari, but to me, that Ford Escort wagon, manual transmission, beige, mustard, ugly color, was like my Ferrari. So I think perception is reality. I think that, we need to understand that, yeah, it is just a means to get you from A to Z, but it is our job as the sales professionals to sell the shit out of it, to create the sizzle, to create that, and to give them a highline experience. See, I worked at Cherry Hill Nissan. The last store that I left at 2003 is the number one Nissan store in the entire Northeast United States. We're doing like almost 400 units a month out of a single point Nissan store. And I was selling 100+ deals out of my internet department back in 2003 because they ran that store like a Highline store. So again, technically, I don't disagree with what you said, actually, because I agree that for most dealerships, the salespeople and the management don't treat their customers like Highline customers. They don't provide the exceptional, go above and beyond experience. They don't get their prospects to really be as excited as, someone that's buying a Ferrari. But is that the customer's fault, or is it the automotive lack of professionals' fault?
Oh, it's the automotive side. You do, in my opinion, you should treat someone with respect, integrity, transparency, and authenticity from your own side. You want to be yourself going into these things. Everyone deserves to be treated at a certain level. And as an industry, yeah, we don't do what we should do a lot of the times. And there's excuses for it. There's 1,000 excuses for it. I hear them all day. The desk is busy, this, that, and the other. There's 3 people waiting. Just hurry up, finish the deal. Oh, we forgot to follow up. Whatever the excuse is. But I do agree that there are situations where you should, and they're all situations, you should always treat someone very well. I think about my first car. And, to go back on your point, my first car was a PT Cruiser. I had one of the first ones in the area, and I thought it was the coolest car ever. Right. With my little 4 cylinders and my little, it was ugly, but I was in high school. I had little signs in my front to hold up and say, my car looks cooler than yours. To me, that was an amazing thing, but we are lacking as an industry overall in customer experience, and we should focus on it.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hey, Tim Cox from CarNow, and we would love the privilege and honor to be able to partner with you, our dealer partner, and show you why we continue to be the most awarded communication and digital retailing platform in automotive. What's the buzz about? We'd love to show you why. Please click the link below and let's partner together.
Yeah, here's the data. Okay, NADA says, and this is fact, that only 20% of people are solely price motivated. That's it. I'm not saying that when the deal starts, whether it's physical engagement on the lot or the showroom, or if they call a phone up, they text you, they DM you on social media, or whatever it is. I'm not saying they don't start in Mortal Kombat mode, wanting the best price on other stuff. But when the dust settles, only 20% of people are solely price motivated. There's other mitigating factors: availability, convenience, safety, performance, credit, whatever, third row. It might be specific features or benefits or whatever it is. So at the end of the day, it is the sales professional's job. It is their sole purpose, in my opinion, to first qualify the prospects the right way, because NADA says the number one reason why people don't buy cars, period, whether they make money on them or not, is because they're landing on the wrong car. If we qualify the prospects the right way, not just on the vehicle of interest, but qualify the prospect that themselves, profile that person, truly seek to understand, like Covey says, what their wants, wishes, expectations are, meet them, and then exceed them by creating this unique value package proposition, creating this unique experience. You know, Alex Flores says this, Roy Davila says this, a lot of the great people that we've spoken in Clubhouse a million times said, it's the now is to out experience the competition. Because right now, the key to being successful is having inventory. That's it. But once inventory starts to come back, then it's going to be, okay, how do you regain market share? How do you conquest market share? And how do you achieve gross profit? And it has to be by providing, you know, a better experience. Forget about trying to outcompete somebody, out experience somebody. What do you think about that?
I think you're onto something with that. One of my stores, the smaller store, is pivoting to the out experience, the competition model, because they can't compete on price. They can't compete with inventory. They can't compete on many things. They've got a smaller store. It's just that simple. But they can deliver the car. They can do everything in their power to make sure that the paperwork is done for the most part before you walk in the store, if you even have to walk in the store. I mean, there's certain regulations that we in Georgia have to abide by. I'm not versed on those. I just know that it's a roadblock that I'm watching them try to work through. But they want the customers to feel like they're dealing with their own family. They want that friendly interaction. And I think it's a really great pivot for them, because it will differentiate themselves out of the typical message that we hear in this area, which is normally price and quantity. So I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, and I love it that the Millionaire Car Salesman Facebook group, we got people that are jumping in. Roy Davila, the GSM of Mike Shaw, says, adopt the Highland experience, and you can offer something that the other Toyota guys won't. You know, you can ask for more money. Tim, like he says, it's still the experience. You can eat at McDonald's or a 5-star restaurant. They both will fill you up, but the experience always prevails. Value, baby. And Roy Davila says that people pay for experience and convenience. That's so true. Me personally, I am damn sure a convenience shopper because I've got too much shit going on. I'm busy. I got pugs, kids, businesses, whatnot. I don't have time to waste. So I will pay more to save time and have less drama or headaches, because, you know, my time is more important than nickel and diming, you know, some vendor or some product for that. So I guess there's multiple ways to engage anything, but I really think that this should show dealers. So dealers, if you're listening, GMs, dealer principals, managers, people that are in charge of your organizations, like, why feast like you've been feasting, you know, for the last couple of months and go back to salad and water? You know what I mean? It makes no sense to me. You know, again, it's okay to gross. There's nothing wrong with it. Our margins are so damn small. You know, why are we willing to give them up? Because it's faster, it's easier. It's just stupid. I'm sorry. You know, Stephanie?
I'm with you on that. In a perfect world, everything would be based on experience. I'm a millennial. We started this whole experience process. My whole generation said, I'm not doing it the way everyone else does it. I don't want to read the pamphlets. I don't want to talk to someone on the phone. Just give me the information, do it with a smile, and give me a little perk at the end. I mean, that's it. I get free stuff at Starbucks. Come on.
Right. I love it. You know, the millennials are the number one, you know, buying demographic right now in the world, and we need to understand them and then, you know, scale that strategy. But I think that you could have your cake and eat it too. I think that you can provide what people are looking for and be able to make money. But what you can't do is this. You can't do business that way, the way that people want to be dealt business with, right? And cut corners, not qualify, not provide value, not provide exceptional value, you know, so on and so forth. Here, I'm gonna share something with you. I want to get your opinion on it, because I think I mentioned this in our Clubhouse morning, but I had the pleasure to interview Glenn Lundy, formerly of Dan Cummings Chevrolet, and this is a guy that's was a general manager and took a single point Chevy dealership from doing 120, 130 units, and that's the most they ever did in 50 years, to breaking 1,000 units. I think they sold 14,700 units or something like that in a year. And then when I asked him the magic question, how? And he said, I changed the culture. And I'm like, damn, and I was like, tell me more, my brother. And he broke it down, Steph. He just broke it down. He said that most dealers focus on, sales and profits first, and then these other things first. He said his number one focus was employee development. It was hiring the right people, onboarding the right people, mentoring the right people, training the right people, loving the right people. It was employees first. Second was customers, but he said, look, if a customer disrespected one of my people, oh, hell no, not in my house. He bounced them. It wasn't even a tie. It wasn't even close. His employees came before his clients. And then after clients, it was the products and the inventory, et cetera. And then last was profits. He said, it's counterintuitive. You'd be shocked to think that if you focus on profits last out of that quadrant, that you think that profits would be last, but no, profits soared. They quadrupled, they quintupled, they did more than they ever did in half a century, because they poured into their people. And I said, well, okay, what do you mean? And he said, man, what do people need? His employees needed to be great parents, great mommies, great daddies, great husband, great wives, great spouses, great people. They need to be healthy. They shouldn't die of, obesity and all this other stuff. They should have, life skills, coping skills, etc. So I said, what do you mean? So instead of, doing conventional training, he basically did a lot of, not professional, but personal development, human development, people development, and pouring into his people, which was like, this is so powerful. And for me, this speaks to Mark, because me and my wife are Franklin Covey certified trainers and facilitators. Do you understand, Steph, that we've been partners with Covey for 13 years exclusively? But it is one of my favorite things to teach and my wife Karen to teach is work-life balance, communication, leadership, all these things, time maximization. But it is literally the absolute least amount of training that we do to the automotive industry, because dealers don't usually see value in that shit, right? Which is crazy. So what do you say about Glenn Lundy and what I just said?
I love Glenn Lundy. I've gotten up to listen to his morning clubhouse meets. I've seen him on Facebook. I follow him on everywhere. He can convey a message in such a way that just makes your day so bright. I appreciate everything he says. And his point of view, to his point, and his point of view is accurate. It's 100% right. And I've kind of taken a little bit of that approach in my own department. Yeah, we do normal training because we have to. But that's not what I want them to focus on, because my agents, they can tell you their phone scripts. They don't need to learn another one. They don't need to memorize it again. They've memorized it 8 times already. Same one over and over again. But I have noticed that when I started switching up so I want to go into my training for a minute. I do Motivation Mondays, and we start with a quote, or we start with a concept, or we start with a motivational video, but it's something to make them think. And then I go into concepts that would help them in their personal or professional life, whether it's goal setting concepts, time management concepts, life concepts, communication concepts, literally anything that's going to benefit them in some way. I hope they take something from it. And we cover that throughout the week. I keep harping back on it throughout the week. Hey, someone will come to me with a problem, and I'll say, well, what do we talk about on Monday? Oh yeah, well, maybe you could try that and see if it helps you. Or, if they say, hey, I'm having a problem at home and it's kind of distracting me, I could say, well, hey, remember we talked about that other thing? Have you tried that and see if it works? And it helps. And I've noticed that since I've implemented that, their production's gone up, and we're a happy department, and we smile, and we're happy to be with each other at work. And it's turned days of dread into fun-filled, not fun, it's still work, but pleasant days where we work with each other, and we're getting higher conversions because of it. And the sales floor is working with the BDC more closely, and the communication skills between everybody has improved, and the relationships between everyone has improved. It's very positive. And I honestly have you and Glenn Lundy to thank for that, because if it wasn't for listening to you two, I wouldn't have really considered that as something that I could try in my own department. So I definitely see where he's going with that. I think it's a very positive thing. I've seen it work in action.
No, I appreciate that. And we love having you in the morning motivations with us, and then, having your own room on Clubhouse. Real quick, Jason Coons, the internet director for the Platinum Auto Group, he says TrueCar did a survey a year or two ago, that people actually stated they would pay $1,000 more for a vehicle for a better experience. So that's kind of crazy. And that goes into our point. So I want to find out more about you and your vision, your philosophy. Well, first of all, we haven't said this on here, but I already know this. You're not just an internet sales manager and just a digital marketing. You are, your family owns these dealerships. So talk about that. Tell us a little about your family and what that's like having, a mom that's a dealer principal.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Did you know 40% of service calls go to voicemail or hang up?
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
How many times does it take for your customers to connect with someone at your store?
The world may never know.
Unless you have CallSource customers connect with 96% of their clients' calls and convert over 85% of bookable calls to appointments. Really? If you're not performing at that level, or if you don't know, then text HELP to
855-963-2686
and receive a free evaluation of your store's performance.
It's okay. So I'm going to break it down real quick. We've got my stepdad, my mom, and my stepbrother. They own the stores together. It's a corporation, the two stores. It doesn't matter. Anyway, she is the GM of one store. My stepbrother's GM of the store that I work at most of the time. She and I used to work together under the same rooftop, and that was okay. I love my mother, and I'm never going to speak poorly of her, but I'm sure you can understand that two strong-willed women with opinions, and neither one are ever wrong, especially when they're related, may not always be.
Right on. Right on.
We worked it out where I do go down to her store regularly and help her out. And we have a good relationship there. If I think that there's something wrong, I can say, hey, I think there's something wrong, or maybe you're missing this. And I'm very fortunate that I get to see the higher level workings of how these stores function. I'm a very analytical person, and I can pick little strings out of problems and say, hey, tug on that a little bit. Maybe you'll see a better result if you try something else. And it's worked out for her as well to have me there, where she doesn't have people around that can be honest with her, but I will be. Or people may feel uncomfortable because that's her, she's her boss. She's their boss. Anyway, with my stepbrother, it's a little different. There's more structure in the Thompson store. I think it's bigger, but as a result, I can still find little things to pinpoint and manipulate to make things better. My whole goal is to make sure these two stores are running at the best capacity they can possibly run at, with the best experience that we can provide and the happiest employees that we can get. I'm not the sole decision maker when it comes to these things, and I'm not the only hand in the cookie jar when it comes to all of the concepts that I have to deal with on a daily basis. But it's really cool. I mean, bottom line, being part of the family, seeing how this works, having a little bit of a say here and there, and not having a say in many instances, it's just great. I wouldn't want it any other way.
What's it like being a young woman in the automotive industry?
Oh, it's tough.
Even though that your family owns the stores?
Yeah, I'm lucky I have an umbrella, but it's tough. And I'm the umbrella for some of my employees sometimes.
Ooh, okay. What makes it tough being a female in the automotive industry?
It's just, I think it depends on the store and the culture, and it depends on the people that you're around. My region is very Southern, and sometimes we get in that good old boy mentality. And being a female in the good old boy world is hard to begin with. Then you're dealing with guys with egos, and they can never be wrong, and women who won't always be outright honest about things that need to be said because they're sugarcoating things. It's an interesting dynamic, and I think the South sometimes makes it a little different a little more exacerbated in that aspect.
Okay. Now, can you see yourself doing anything else, or is this it for you? Do you really love the automotive industry?
I love automotive.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not going to say I couldn't see myself doing other things because I have a very wild imagination, but it's like home. It's it's what I know. I've grown up in this. I was a small child running through shops. When I went to college and I wasn't around the store as much, I went to a friend who had a shop who worked on motorcycles, and I walked in and was like, oh, I love the smell of motor oil and grease. I mean, it's just what I'm used to. It felt like home.
And it's funny, like I feel the same way. I love this industry, and to the point where, my family's in it, having my 2 daughters, my wife, my nephew, my very close friends. And what I found though, is once you really get good at this industry and you're successful, it is very difficult to leave completely. It's definitely, you could diversify like we have, but it's almost like I keep thinking Godfather 3, when I think I'm out, they pull me back in. Like it's a very hard industry to leave because there's just so much opportunity in this industry and there's so much diversity. So, okay. So tell me, like I asked this in the pre-show, Stephanie, what are you good at? Obviously you do internet sales. What does that mean? Because there's a lot of internet sales managers. Like there's people that are really good on the desk, that are sales managers that just happen to run an internet department. Then there's CRM managers, there's digital marketing managers, and I'm sure you could do all that shit. But I just want to know, what are you fucking really good at?
The culture of my department.
Talk to me, because that damn sure we need it. There's so many culture, vultures out there, you know what I mean? And people that need to become culture vultures. So tell me, what do you mean by that? Because that's a very unique answer. Usually people say, I'm great at SEO, but you're like culture. Okay, play on, girl. What are you talking about?
Well, it goes back to the Glenn Lundy thing. And this was a concept that was brewing when I first came in. I have a group of people that see each other all day, every day. We spend 12 hours with each other, day in and day out. We have families, we have children, but the prevalent mindset before I came in was you work until you drop. And then I came in and said, well, that's just dumb, because if you drop, I don't have an employee. So I need you guys here and in your best mental state. So the first thing I did when I came in is say, hey, look, if you've got a problem, you need to come and talk to me about it. And I don't just mean a work problem. Like if your child needs to go somewhere and you've got to leave work, come and talk to me and we'll work around it. You go take care of your kids. If your wife is stuck on the side of the road and you don't want to call AAA because you're worried about her, go get her. I'm not going to penalize you as your boss for having to do the things that you have to do. Go to the doctor, take a day off. Please, for the love of God, take a day off. Sometimes you need more than one. Take that if you need it. I will find a way to cover you. But you need to feel like you're supported and trust in me to take care of you so that you can be the best you that you can be. And then it developed into the training regimen, the Motivation Mondays. We do Product Wednesdays, and then Fridays are Feedback Fridays. And I actually love Fridays. I do a stand-up meeting. I don't sit down. Everyone stands up. We all talk. And the first thing I say is, okay, questions, comments, complaints about the week. Open it up. What happened? Do you feel like we did great this week? Did we do great? Do you feel like we did bad? Why do you think we did bad? What can we improve on? Hey, we just had this new process. How's it working for you? Can we tweak it? Because I'm not the one doing these calls every day. I'm not the one doing the follow-ups. Yes, I manage the BDC. Yes, I see what they do. Yes, I'm involved, but I'm not the lady on the ground floor making sure that that customer is being called every day or whatever the process is at that time. So I want the people that are doing it to tell me what they need so they can do their job to the best of their ability. And it's interesting. Sometimes you hear the feedback and you sit there and you go, well, that's irrelevant. And then you realize it's not irrelevant to them. It's relevant because they don't understand. So it's also a time where I can bring transparency to it. I look at COVID as a great example. When we had to shut down for a little bit, we opened back up after that. And a lot of the employees were like, why are we even here? And I explained, well, the way it runs is if you want money, you have to be here to make money, because we can't do this offsite. We've tried, it doesn't work so well. We got to know what's on the ground, who's here. We got to be able to TO and talk to people, that we have to be on the ground, but you don't have to physically be super close to each other, and you can wear your masks and you can throw things to somebody. You don't have to walk up and hand it to them. We can function around this, but they wanted to be, they didn't understand why they couldn't work for free. why we couldn't just keep giving them money to not do much. And it was, look, it's business. And once I explained it to them and told them how that back end of the process works, it was, oh, okay, I don't mind being here. I know that they're going to do what they can to make sure that we're safe. I know that they have my back in terms of making sure I still have an income. I know we're not going to implode. So, okay. And the mood lifted, and all of a sudden that fear was no longer there, and the trust came back. And that's just one large example, but there's many examples of these things where something happens, there's no understanding, I can explain it, and then it's, okay, I got it, we're cool.
So let me dive into that. I think that one of the problems with HR, let's dissect this. To me, for the last 22 years I've been in the industry, it's never been fixed. And before I got into the industry, and unfortunately, unless we do something that looks like it's going to keep going on, we have a 70 to 80% attrition ratio. People are talking about COVID being a pandemic. I don't know if dealers are fucking paying attention, but having a 70 to 80% attrition ratio is a mass problem. It's like the bubonic plague. It cripples dealerships because there's so much that happens, the wasted time, the wasted, opportunities, you finally train somebody in a CRM and they're gone within 90 days and you're not using all the tools. We spend all this money and all this technology and all these resources, which are half-ass being used because we're constantly cycling through new bodies and we half-ass the actual onboarding and training. So why is that? It's a rhetorical question. I'm going to give you my opinion. I want your opinion. I believe that part of the reason why there's such high attrition is because we still have archaic schedules. You're talking about being a millennial. The research that I've seen is that millennials and females do not like working bell to bell. They don't like working bell to bell. And why do we do this? There's a book by Jim Collins called Good to Great. And in this amazing book, one of the warnings they say is don't make stupid ass rules for your good people. Usually what cripples companies or prohibits them from going from good to great is that they have these stupid ass rules that piss off good people, but those rules aren't really for the good people. They're for the stupid people that shouldn't be working there anyway. So I love what you're saying, but what I believe that dealers need to do is really ask themselves, why do we have bell to bells? And it's simple, because they need to get certain level production. And because their people are not productive, if the average salesperson only sells 10 cars, even with working bell to bells in an entire month, then that's the problem. Because I don't think any dealership in the country would give a fuck, okay, what somebody worked if they were averaging 25 to 35 cars. So the difference is, we've got to figure out how to get better quality people, keep them, train them, and get them to have the results so then we could have more favorable work schedule. So let's talk about the work schedule. Do you agree with what I said? You disagree? Talk to me.
That's the first thing I changed when I got my department was the work schedule.
Okay, so what is your work schedule?
All right, so my schedule is different than everybody else's because I'm all over the place. But each person has we have A team and B team, and they alternate Saturdays. So everybody gets 2 Saturdays off a month on average. Some people show up later on some days, like let's say it's A team is Monday to show up at 8, they can leave at 4. If they show up, if it's B team, they show up at 9, they leave at 6. I don't want people there all day. I want them to go out for lunch. I have a couple of employees that don't like taking full days off for some reason. It doesn't jive with them. So I work with them and I say, fine, you don't want to take a full day off, then you have to leave early. You at least have to take an afternoon off. So if you want to come in from 8 to noon, leave, tell me when you're going to do this. Just communicate with me when you're going to do these things. That way I can let everybody else know and make sure that we have the bases covered. I think that working bell to bell is an old model, and it's really not a very productive one. You can't have a top-notch employee producing their best when they're exhausted, going through a divorce because they can't have a relationship because they're never home and their children don't know who they are, and they're drinking to mask the pain of life. And I see that in the auto industry. That's the dirty side that we don't really like to discuss, but it's so true. And a lot of that is built on that schedule. And it was drummed into me in college. I mean, I don't have to be a millennial female to tell you this. It was drummed into me before all this, that is not healthy. So why are you going to have an entire industry full of miserable people? And then you're just going to perpetuate a bad, negative customer experience. You can't mask the pain. You can't fake a smile. You can, but people can read through it. It's all very much tied together. Now, I get the concept of working bell to bell, because if you're not there, you can't sell. And if you can't sell, you're not making money. And if you're not making money, then why are you doing this? Like, that's the old mentality, right? But it's not really working though, is it? Because if it were, we wouldn't be complaining about it.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Attention auto dealers. You need an opportunity to do business. Autoweb is one of the largest suppliers of high quality leads. I mean, high quality buyers. At a 10% closing ratio, you will be at less than $190 per car sold. Don't just settle for what you get. Autoweb can fully customize your results through targeted markets and/or zip codes, and as a partner, you will get premium placement within search results. Who better to do that than literally the people that invented automotive internet sales? If you want to sell more cars more often and more profitably, then you need Autoweb.
And we wouldn't average only 10 units a month. 10 units a month. Actually, and under. NADA says in 2021, the average salesperson sells 9.6 cars. So to me, if you've been doing this, meaning the industry for 20, 30, 40, 50 freaking years or more, and it's not working, then it's about damn time to change the paradigm. You have to change the paradigm. And it'd be different. If working bell to bell would, crush it, then so be it. But that's not the case. If you look at the people that are phenomenal, like an Ali Retta, for example, Ali does not work bell to bells ever. He doesn't even work weekends. He does not work weekends. That's crazy in itself. But when you get to the point where you're not transactional, your relationship selling, like a Cody Carter or like a Chrissy Burton, who's, I think, my new phenomenal person I love to talk about, because she's just murdered 73 units in March she had on the showroom floor. So we got to change the paradigm. So let's go into what you also just said. It's not healthy. See, if you force somebody to make a decision between their spouse or their child, and what I mean by a choice doesn't necessarily mean they're going to lose their kid or they're going to lose their marriage or get a divorce, but to lose the memories of seeing their kid play at band or play, in a football game, or take your wife out on a freaking date. It just doesn't make any sense. If you make them indentured servants of the dealership or the dealer group, and you're withdrawing from their emotional bank account, how good are they going to be? You know what I mean? I don't care how many cars they sell. I guarantee you they're never going to be even reaching their maximum potential, because their heart and their soul is not in it, because they feel guilty, they feel sad, they feel angry, or there's problems that are coming from this. Thoughts?
I think substance abuse is rampant, and I think a lot of it is masking that lack of control and being overworked. I've unfortunately seen some pretty bad cases of people burning out and not wanting to do anything about it because they're comfortable in their burnout state, and they lose everything. And I don't just mean the divorce. I mean, they lose everything, literally. It's very toxic, obviously. We don't get a second life, and we don't get a second try. And every minute and every second that ticks away, we don't get it back. You don't remake memories from children that grow up. You don't get that experience with your spouse a second time. You have to get what you get when you had it, and you have to be able to embrace it and have an employer that's going to let you embrace it when you need to. The one good thing about my stores is if my kids have a recital, both my husband and I can leave and go and watch. Now, he may have to come back. He's financed, so his schedule is definitely a lot harder than mine, but it's still an option to be in the family. And I can bring my kids. As a matter of fact, I have 2 offices, and I'm sitting in what I call my mom office, or the moffice right now. Moffice. Because when I bring the kids, I've got a TV and some things for them to play with. And then I've got an office down with the BDC so that I'm in the middle of it. But it's just having that ability to be able to bring them when I need them. And I extend that to my employees too. If I've got a couple of single moms, bring your kids. We'll take care of them. I've got a TV. I've got a little place they can nap. Just bring the kids. Let's all do this together. Get it done. It takes a village. Here's your village. I'm here for you. And it's kind of bridging that work-life balance that I may not be able to completely solve, but I can help. I can add value. And that's all I really want to do. These kids aren't going to remember their parents working, but they are going to remember the times that the parents aren't there.
Right. You know, it's so interesting that you say this, Stephanie, and I don't normally talk about this at this level just because there's 50 million things to talk about, but I like this conversation. What would the employees or the team members feel if their dealerships did this? I think that this would solidify stronger employee retention, employee loyalty, company pride. I really would, because if I knew that somebody had my back, like really had my back, had my kids back. But the challenge is that I know that some dealers have been burned. I'm a business owner. I've been in business 17 and a half years, and I've been burnt. I'm fucking a crispy critter at some points. You know what I mean? How many times I've been burnt. But my wife taught me a long time ago, because she's my second wife, right? I've been with Karen for 14 and a half years. She said, I ain't trying to hear shit about your ex-wife. You know what I mean? I can't bring my ex-wife drama with my new wife. You know what I mean? So again, business owners and managers can't bring their previous employee drama and burns that you've got to your new employees. It's not fair. The new employee didn't do that. And you could definitely protect yourself, but here's what I believe, and I want your opinion on this. I believe that every relationship, whether it's business or personal, has to be built on a win-win, a true win-win, where it's a win for the other party and it's a win for you, not a lose-lose, not a win-lose, not a lose-win, but a true win-win, because that's how we have longevity. The second that the scales are tipped and somebody's, getting more than the other, that's where animosity, frustration, anger, rage, fucking death, murder, cheating, all that stuff comes in, because it wasn't an equal win-win at some point. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree.
So hopefully, if people that are listening to this on in the Millionaire Car Salesman Facebook group, or soon to be on the podcast, it'll just give them a different perspective on what to do. I love what you said about being open and being a village and just saying to your team. But here's the thing, though. I want to also give a disclaimer, because I've been all into this, is that doesn't mean be a sucker and get taken advantage of, because unfortunately, certain employees will run game on you or try to push the parameters or game the system. But all I'm saying is be aware that this is going to happen, but don't let that disenchant you and take you off your course of what a true leader should be doing. So I like that. Give me some more. What else do you do for your team, culture wise, or just, cool shit wise, like you've just been telling us?
Well, I want to take it back for a second. I'm going to get to the cool stuff, but I do know I'm not naive. How about that? I'm not naive. And I know when someone's using me. And I've had situations where employees took the niceties that I allow to happen and exploit them. And when that happens, I have conversations with them. Now, my attrition rate is extremely low. I've held on to the same employees for years now. They're great people. But I've had to have conversations with a few and say, hey, listen, this isn't going to fly. I know what you're doing. You cut it out, because you can go somewhere else, but it won't be the same experience. So consider that before you continue down this path. Now, I've said that. So I'm going to get to the fun stuff. So I don't know if I heard it in your room one morning or if I heard from Glenn Lundy, but I implemented the STAR program. And it's a peer program. So on Fridays, I pass out a little sheet and I ask everyone to write down 2 nominations, other agents that have done awesome jobs that week, whether it was a great phone call or they were just really great human beings, or they, saved a kitten from a storm drain. I don't know, just something awesome. Write it down. And then I'm going to look at everything, and whoever has the most votes is going to be the star for the week. And they get a special parking spot, and they get recognition throughout the week. They get a free lunch. And then I have who I pick every month, the top performer. So like the employee of the month. And it's the same. You get a special parking spot, you get special recognition, you get dibs on vacation days, you get a free lunch. And it's been a positive experience. Most of my people like it. There are some people, though, that aren't motivated by validation like that. They don't need it. And they just want to come and do their job, make their money. And that's what validates them. So with them, I just annoy them. I'm not going to lie. I tell them how great they are all the time. And I do it very loudly so everyone can hear. And they, whether they say it or not, they appreciate it. You can tell in a little smile that they have when you walk away, or the little smirk that they give you, or, it's important to make them all feel validated, whether it's through money, whether it's through recognition, whether it's through perks. Everyone has their reward zone that speaks to them. And I try to figure it out and use it to my benefit to make them happy. And it's one of the tools that is just really, it brings a smile to their faces.
Question for you. What type of team building exercises or activities do you do?
Funny, I don't do many.
Let me give you some stuff. What we do at Dealer Synergy, we've gone to like Great Adventure before. One thing we just did like right before COVID was a sip and paint. That's where LA painted that picture as a blind guy. But it was kind of cool because we're 15 minutes away from Philadelphia Airport, and we're diehard Eagles fans. Well, most of us are, at least at our company. So Trey Thomas, famous 72 former Eagle, he's now a sportscaster in Philly. He owns a sip and paint called Pino's Palette. And so we took the whole team there. We've done escape the rooms. We try to do things that we could do as a group, that they have to do activities. But what we want to do is take them out of the office and put them into an environment where it's not just fun, but they're interacting with each other. See, when I was in the ROTC, and even when I was in the boys home, I went through high elements, like, where there's trust falls and all those cool little things there. And there's some substance there. So again, I love what you're saying. So hopefully maybe that these examples I'm giving you, something that you can, do with your team activity wise, exercise wise, where they got to solve a problem or do something interactive together and work together, will strengthen and solidify that team, that synergy, that interdependence. What do you think about that?
Oh, I'd love to do it. We joke about it all the time. We joke about doing escape rooms. It would be difficult for me to get the approval from the rest of the store to let the BDC go during work hours to do this. The other side is I don't necessarily want to pull them away from their families when we're having off days. So I try to respect the boundaries of, you don't live in my office. I don't want you to live here. Please go home, and not have to make them feel like they're working 7 days a week. I used to work at a law firm in Atlanta, and they would do these weekend parties. They would do these activities. And at first I thought it was so much fun. And then I was like, I don't want to see these people an extra day of the week. I see them enough. I really need my downtime away from them. So it's something that I would like to do if I could do it during work hours.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Don't be the last one with your hand up at the auction. VECU Vehicle Buying Center gives dealers the digital and in-store tools you need to buy direct from the public. On average, inventory bought from the public grosses $1,200 higher on the front end alone. VECU turns buying cars direct from the public into a business. The most profitable dealerships in the country are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in additional front end gross. Private party acquisition starts with VECU. See it at VECU.com.
I love it. But I think that the most important aspect of what I'm getting out of here is the paradigm evolution for most people, most managers, most dealerships. I think that if we want more from people, right? If we want to withdraw from the emotional bank account of people, if we want people to come in early, work late, work hard, not all the time, but sometimes, right? If we want people to care, go the extra mile, then we need to reciprocate. It needs to be bi-directional. We need to be able to deposit into their emotional bank account. Just simply seeking first to understand the employees and understand your team. What's important to them? There's been so many universities that have done this study on what's important to employees. And I think only number 4, number 5 is the actual income. Yeah. There's other things that are more important of being appreciated, respected, having the ability to be creative and so on. Others. If you're a fucking manager or an owner and you don't even know what's important to employees in general, forget about your employees, but that's just obtuse. I'm sorry. If you are so detached from reality, you don't know what drives employees, then it's like you're a king in your kingdom and you don't know how the peasants live. And I'm not saying that's the reality. I'm saying that's the perception. Is like, get off of your throne and go live amongst your people, because we're all just people. We've got to understand what motivates our team, what's gonna really get them, creative, juices and ideas and passion and excitement that will transfer to our clients. So again, first understand what employees in general want, need, and then do a survey. I don't know if you've done this, but my clients that I advise do this are very successful. Do a survey with your employees. You can make it anonymous if you want, doesn't really matter. And just say, look, one of the questions would be like, what's the most important thing to you in a career? What would make this department or this organization the ultimate job that you could have ever thought of? What does that mean? Is it opportunity for advancement? Is it training, education? Is it praise? Is it, whatever? Is it time off? Is it more time with your family? Is it free shit? Whatever, find out. Doesn't mean you're going to give them everything, but once we know, think about this, you're a good car girl, right? I'm a good car guy. And you understand the rules of engagement is what? To max gross, what do we want to do? We want to qualify the prospect properly, right? If we qualify the prospect properly, if we could truly identify their wants, wishes, needs, expectations, if we could build a profile about them, develop common ground, all that shit, why are we not doing that same strategy for our team? Why are we not seeking to understand them, what drives them, what motivates them? Here's another thing. Managers are so disengaged from the reality of communication. First of all, you're a female. There's a book, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus, for a goddamn reason, because it's true. I've got two girls that are my 20-year-old daughters, and I got an adult woman wife, and I'm telling you, they live on a different planet from me. Sometimes I don't understand them. I wish I had an instruction manual. They don't have one. So managing females is different than managing males. And I don't mean equality wise. Stop the bullshit. I'm talking about personality. I'm talking about the way that people think and perceive, different things. And so I think it's important to understand what is important to them. Now, a little bit easier for people to digest is there's a science of communication. There's also psychology. There's different people, whether you're gender doesn't matter. That you have people that are relators. You got people that are dictators. You got people that are analytical. You got people that are humorous. There's different personalities. Then you've got people that are visual thinkers. You got people that are auditory thinkers. You got people that are kinesthetic thinkers. You got hybrid thinkers. And that's a lot of shit for you to absorb in a podcast. But Stephanie, you're high level, so I'm giving it to you so you could absorb it. Is that the bottom line is that there's people that are different. If you're yelling at your employee because, what are you fucking not paying attention? Because that's how sometimes dealers talk to people. Didn't you not fucking hear me? I said it 37 times. Well, maybe they're not an auditory thinker, genius. Maybe they're a visual thinker, a kinesthetic thinker. So your approach in the way that you train somebody needs to be modified. The way that you train one person is not the way that you could train every single person on your team, because of different things. Maybe it's personality, maybe it's emotions, maybe it's whatever it is. What do you think about that?
You're 100% right. I have a educational background in psychology. My degree was half business, half psychology. I was supposed to go into IO psychology. That's a whole nother story. But the point is, I understand that everyone learns differently. Everyone has different motivating factors. Most people are not motivated by money, even though they say that they are, but they're really not. It's the other things about it, and the money is part of it, but it's not the end of it. I think that yelling will automatically turn everybody off. End of story. I mean, I hear it here. It happens everywhere. It doesn't work. It should stop. It's also degrading. So it's a way to make someone feel like trash, and it shows that you don't have any kind of emotional intelligence, so it makes you look bad. There's that. I think that, and my stepdad taught me this, you have to know the people that work for you. And you have to know the people that you work with, and you should know their names, whether they're in your department or not. You should know about their families. You should have that common level of decency to get to know people. If you can pay enough attention, you'll figure out what makes it tick. If you can't pay enough attention, you're right. There's surveys, there's tests. I mean, you could even give people the love language app and tell them to go fill it out. There's so many things out there, so you can figure out what makes your employees tick. It's highly important to grow your garden. It's a concept I've been talking about with marketing lately, is the walled garden, but I think about it in terms of employees too. I need my plants grown well. I need them lush. I need them thriving. I need them blooming. Everyone should bloom. It makes life nicer. And I know the automotive industry isn't about niceties. I get that. But they are about results. And that thriving garden will give you higher results and less turnover and a happier workflow where you can go home. I mean, it is so synchronistic to have a good, positive work environment for your people. But you have to do your due diligence and understand how these people tick. You're 100% correct on that. And you do need to pay attention.
You know, what's crazy is that I didn't realize that you had the background in education and psychology like you do. The shit makes sense now because you're not wired and you're not trained like the average manager in an automotive dealership. But I believe that the average manager in the automotive industry should understand education and psychology and team building, because obviously what you're doing is successful and what you're doing is working. That's why you're interviewed on my show. And so I'm really glad that you were able to take the time to share everything that you did. Because this is a little bit different than what we normally do. And again, I didn't plan on this conversation flowing like this, but I'm really glad that it did. So what I want to give you as you start to wind down, because we're approaching that 1 hour mark here, is what do you want to leave the industry? If I said, you know, Stephanie, do me a favor, just give your tips, and it doesn't have to be just marketing, just you're an automotive professional, your family owns dealerships. What's your advice, you know, in two levels? One is for owners and management advice I want you to give. And then for like salespeople and like BDC reps, you know, and the employees. So what's your advice for those two categories of people?
Owners, GMs, managers, have an open mind. It's too often that you get stuck viewing people from your own paradigm, your own perspective. And not everybody is like you. They don't think like you. They don't act like you. And they're not motivated by the same things you are. So have an open mind and realize that that person that you might think is a little weird may not be weird at all. They could be actually great producers, but you got to figure out what it is that you find so off about them and then work around or with them to make it work for you. And for the employees, mindset is everything. And what you consume is everything. And who you surround yourself with is everything. If you wake up in a bad mood and you go and you hang out with your buddy at work and he's always in a bad mood, well, guess what? You're always going to be in a bad mood. It's not going to help your days. So consider that. And if you're looking at horror stories on the news, it's not going to help your days. You are what you consume. You are how you think. Everything about your life is dictated by what happens right in here. So knowing that, leverage what you can to make your life the best that works for you. And if you do come to work with the right mindset, you will find that you have better production. You will find that you convert better. You will find that the customers like you and want to come back to you. There's so much that comes with it, but you have to put the work in. So get your minds right. That's about it.
Man, I love it. What's next for you? We're going to close on this one. What's next for you in your career?
I've been asking myself that a lot lately. I'll get back to in a couple of months. I'll let you know what I'm doing.
All right, cool. I like it. I love it. All right. Well, listen, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out. And we've got some comments on here, so make sure you hit up the group to kind of respond to that. You're coming to IS20G, right? I invited you you and Allie to do like a session at the upcoming event in January.
You know I'm down.
That's what's up.
So there you have it, the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast. This podcast comes to you every week from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. If you have a question about the show or would like the chance to become a guest, feel free to contact us directly at 856-546-2440 or email us at millionairecarsalesman@gmail.com. This program is a presentation of Synergy Records, produced by Tiana Mick and L.A. Williams. Production and engineering by L.A. Williams. The Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast is hosted every week by L.A. Williams and the Millionaire Car Salesman himself, Sean V. Bradley. The Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast can be found everywhere, so please don't forget to review, subscribe to, and share the show. Thanks for listening to the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, and remember, where I'm from, money provides options. The Millionaire Car Salesman podcast is sponsored in part by
VECU and Autoweb and Call Source.
If you enjoyed this podcast, then make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave us a review. Let some other folks know about it. Oh, and don't forget to join the Millionaire Car Salesman group on Facebook. We'll see you there.